Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about, so let's jump right into it, folks. First up, let's give an update about the election interference case that is really just trolling former President Donald Trump. I'm going to share with you the latest as they talked about a new trial date for the former president. And let's get an update on his director, the former director of Blacks for Trump, and what's the situation with him. Also, let's talk about Montgomery, how the city of Montgomery, Alabama has officially reelected Mayor Stephen Reed. What's next for the city? We'll talk to Tamasha Brown and Travis Jackson to get the latest on that. Later on, August is Black Business Month. We check in with one Black business owner out of Baltimore to give us his take on where we are in the state of Black business. And later, I got something for you for trends, posts, and doing the most. So stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Oh, man, what a day. Let's jump right into it because time is of the essence. Big shout out to my online culture crew. Let's check it in right now. If you are on social media, we are actually streaming at a bunch of different places. Look at the bottom here, folks. This is where you can find us streaming free. We're on Fire TV on Amazon News. We're on Plex TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can find us on Apple TV, iPhones, and for Androids, everywhere. I'm on social media, on Facebook, under Roland Martin. And of course, we're on YouTube on the Roland Martin's YouTube page. And that is where you could join us in the conversation and be a member of the culture crew for the day, or just stay a member because you just love the show so much. And so we invite you to join us in the conversation. My OG Legacy Culture Crew members are checking in all over around the country, folks, and big shout out to them. That's right. We got Lori Parks checking in, Deidre Hall. Hey, Deidre, how you feeling? Lori Parks, the Church of the Block Club Block members meeting present. We got Pastor Damon Blissett. Damon, thank you so much, brother, for checking in. Hey, brother Damon, good to see you, Pastor. And Pastor's serious about blocking you out. If you come with that riffraff, we will block you out. Cindy D, thank you so much for checking in. Big brother Willie Frazier, I see you. Thank you. Sister Lana, you said my hair. Yes, my hair. Lana, thank you so much, sister. Craig Colson, welcome to the crew. Welcome to the chat. Harrison Floyd has this coming when he knew the risk on supporting that clown. This is a lesson, right, Brother Craig? This is a lesson. We'll talk about it in a moment. Anastasia Pageant. Anastasia, good to connect with you once again. Anastasia, peace and love to you, sis. Vic Abram, Vic, good afternoon, my brother. How are you, sir? Thank you so much for checking in. Tiana, hey, Tiana, good to see you again. Brian Kristen, thank you so much, sir, for checking in. My sister, Janelle Fields, always checking in. Oh, appreciate you so much, Janelle, and all of the great stuff that you send to me. And Conscious Thought, my man, thank you so much. Good afternoon, big brother. Good to have you with us once again. All right, folks, let's jump right into it as we just did a little roll call for the culture crew. Again, we're streaming right now on YouTube, on the Roland Martin's YouTube page, so you can check in and be a part of the conversation. We're also on Facebook, so you can check in, be a part of the conversation, because guess what? No conversation is complete without you, and I want to hear what you got to say as we have these discussions. Okay, let me start with the first piece. The first thing is this situation around the Trump election interference case, which President Trump took that infamous mugshot for down at the Fulton County Sheriff's Department because of what he did to try to get them 11,000 or so votes from the state of Georgia for the 2020 election. Now, it is official. The judge has set a March 4th, 2024 as being a Trump trial date for this particular case. The federal judge overseeing the criminal case has decided March 4th would be the way. Even though, check this out, y'all, the former president and his legal team tried to actually delay the trial, not just by 30 days, not even by 6 months, 2 years. 2 years. They really wanted the trial in 2026. This is Judge Tanya Chukon, excuse me. She said she spoke briefly with a judge in New York who had been set to oversee a separate hush money case against the former president in March of 2024. So they're coordinating their trial dates based on his other trial dates. Man got 4 indictments, 4 different jurisdictions, and they're trying to coordinate it all. The trial in Washington, D.C. at a courthouse only steps from the U.S. Capitol, according to NPR. That will fall deep into the 2024 election season and just before Super Tuesday. And they're all trying to figure out, all 4 of these jurisdictions are trying to figure out when to have this trial for the former president. Let me just say this, y'all. Let me say this. If this man becomes the GOP nominee, he got trials setting up for him during the election season. During the election season, y'all. Come on. And people want him to be president when he's on trial for undermining the election process of a national election. He's on trial for hush money. He's on trial for holding classified documents. And these trials are all hitting during the election season. My producer, Chris, is like, man, Trump is he's going to be arrested. He's going to be going to jail before election time. How much you want to bet somebody can be like, he's still not president, even in jail. Wow. During the election season. Yeah, Tiana. They really tried. Tiana, you said they really tried with the trying to delay until 2026. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Sydney, you said that was a perfect call by Trump. He did nothing wrong. Laughing emojis. Hey, guys, look, you know why he did that? Because he's like, oh, I'll be president by then. And guess what? You can't lock up the president. And the states are like, guess what? We can stop you from being president. Let me stop. Anastasia, you said yes. 45 thought he was going to get a long wait trial date. The bedbug are waiting on you, 45, along the people that you lied on. And you never said you were sorry. What I'm not understanding. Were you expecting a sorry, Anastasia? I wasn't expecting a sorry. I really wasn't. All right, let's talk a little bit more about what's going on. So that has been said. Now, his former associate, Harrison Floyd, can we get a picture of him, Keena? He remains in prison. There was this video that was circulating on social media about the plight of Mr. Floyd. Y'all remember, he's the former director of Blacks for Trump. And he was one of the key people. This is the thing. He was one of the key people that was harassing Miss Ruby Freeman, one of the Georgia election workers. This is one of the, you remember there was the 2 mother and daughter duo who went to testify for the January 6th committee to talk about the tremendous level of harassment they had to experience rather, because of Trump. But it was Harrison Floyd that was making that connection. There he is. There he is. That's Mr. Floyd right there. There was this TikTok video of Mr. Floyd explaining his plight. Keena, can we play the video? I want to it's a couple of seconds. Can we play this video? Just let me know when you got it. But Mr. Floyd here has been the only person that out of all of the 18 people that was indicted in this Georgia case, he's the only one that's in prison. Now, part of that is because he actually assaulted, according to the reports, he assaulted a federal agent who was trying to serve him a subpoena for his involvement in the election. And so because he assaulted a federal agent, that required consequences. And then when he got indicted for this, boom, he got in prison. But guess what? We're going to play for it in a minute, and then we're going to take our first pause. So he got assaulted. That was like early in the year. Then this situation came out. So they're not letting him out of prison right now. They're not letting him out of prison. He's actually the only person that's been indicted. The other sister, y'all remember the face of that, the other sister, the other black woman that was helping him, the publicist, the former publicist of Kanye West. She actually is not even in prison. She won with that goofy ass smile on her face. You remember I showed you that one. But Mr. Floyd here is, let me see if we can get this. He's in a little bit of a hot water. Lori, you checked in. Lori Park, you say he finally got the money from a GoFundMe account that was set up for him over $200,000. He has a lawyer, but that's still not going to be enough. No, it's not going to be enough because this is what was circulating. The volume is a little bit low, but take a look at Mr. Floyd explaining his circumstances to the judge. Take a look.
I cannot afford an attorney for something like this.
Okay. Well, Scott McAfee, Judge McAfee will go through the process if you choose to represent yourself and to not retain a lawyer. He will go through that process and those questions with you. I just want to advise you of your right at this point that if you wish to hire a lawyer, you have the right to do so. Okay?
I understand.
Okay.
He explains to the judge that he could not afford a lawyer because every lawyer that he talked to was going to charge him between $40,000 to $100,000 just for retaining the lawyer. That's not even counting the billable hours to actually work on the case. $40,000 to $100,000. If this ain't a lesson, I don't know what is, folks. Trump left this man out to dry. He can't get a lawyer. Trump running through lawyers like underwear right now, right? Every time he gets a lawyer, he fires one and gets the next one, fires one and gets the next one. This guy, Harrison Floyd, can't even get a lawyer. Now, here's the other thing. Here's the latest. That was a couple of days ago. The latest is that he actually, the judge was able to set a date. And I'm going to share with you just the latest on this one really quickly. This came out of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the newspaper down there. There is a bond hearing set for Mr. Harrison Floyd now. Again, he's one of those 19 people that were arrested for trying to overturn the election. But the Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee set a Thursday hearing to determine his bond on 5 felony accounts involving the harassment of county election worker Ruby Freeman. He's accused of working with co-defendant Stephen Lee and Trevian Kuti, that's the black woman's name, Trevian Kuti, to pressure another black woman, Ruby Freeman, to, quote, reveal information under the threat of incarceration if she did not comply, according to the indictment. So they asked black people, they use black people, unfortunately, to harass other black people. And then when he did the job and then he got caught doing the job and he got to suffer the consequences, they don't even send you a lawyer. Who needs enemies when you have friends like these? That's all I'm gonna say, yo. Damn. He put his whole life, career, everything, his family's life in jeopardy to do something stupid from the very beginning. And then he goes along with the plan. And then guess what? He gets in trouble. He gets caught up just like everybody else. But guess what? Guess what? You never go along with a plan if you don't have a way out, bro. Come on now. This is Donald Trump. You got to have an exit strategy because guess what? He got one for himself. he know he got that one right. Hey, show Trevian Kuti real quick, Keenan, if we can. That's the sister. We can see if we can pull up that because I know some people like Trevian Kuti. Who's that? So again, she is. I'm saying it might be Cuddy, Trevian Cuddy, and I don't want to mispronounce her name, but This just goes to show you, you gotta have an exit strategy. I don't understand how people are so excited to work with a man like Donald Trump, as if they can't see the quote unquote trails of disappointment, trail of heartbreak. That every time that man goes into a space, every time he builds a relationship, he makes a connection. Every time he calls on somebody to do something and they get caught up, you mean to tell me you didn't have no exit strategy, bro? You didn't figure out, like, man, he asking me, the first thing he asked you to do something illegal. Then second thing, you don't even have a lawyer to cover your own ass. All right, let me hear what y'all got to say on this. Let's let me know, Keenan, when we can pull up Trevi and Cuddy. I want to make sure that people see that. Pretty Brown meaning 726. Good to see you, sis. Good to connect with you again. You said if he let Michael Cohen hang in, what did these two black people thought Don was going to do? Come on. Facts. Michael Cohen, y'all remember him. That's Trump's original lawyer before Giuliani was his lawyer. And that man been working for Trump for years. He was quote unquote his fixer. Y'all remember that term? Like, oh, that's Trump's fixer. That's the guy who was handling the hush money for the adult star, the adult porn star actress, Stormy Daniels. He was the one in the go-between between that situation. And he left Michael Cohen out there. Whew. All right, Cindy, you said Rudy had to beg for money for Trump. I guess he wasn't too proud, too. Trump didn't Jenna Ellis lawyer as well. Cindy, thank you so much. You're right. Carolyn Harrison. Carolyn, you said sad situation. Don't feel sorry for him. 45 doesn't care about anyone. There's so many folks under that bus. You can't count them. The bus not even on the road. That's how many people are under it. It's not even the rubber don't meet the road under that bus. That joint is piled up. Thank you so much, Carolyn, for your take. You don't like my music. You said hopefully he realizes that Trump doesn't give a about him. If you don't realize it, if you think you're lonely now, wait until you go to jail. You don't like my music. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Let me see. Who else we got here? I'm going to take it very quickly. All right, let's post this picture of Trevian. And now, look, at least he got a lawyer. At least he was like, all right, I'm going to do some crazy stuff, but y'all going to serve a day in prison. Y'all remember, I would have, if that was my mother, my aunt, my grandmother, somebody in my family, I would be asking, what the hell are you smiling about? Ain't nothing to smile about. Come on, Trevor. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Yeah. Real Brooklyn, you said Harrison Floyd was the little finger from Game of Thrones, dirty, just dirty. Now, he wasn't that high up on the totem pole, bro. Littlefinger was high up on Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? He kicked off the whole thing with the war, for those who are GOT fans. Y'all know what I'm saying? It was his fault. This guy wasn't that high up. He's not that high up. Tiana, you're right. Littlefinger was smart enough not to get caught until the end. Yeah, he wasn't going to get caught. They had to connect the dots on Littlefinger. This guy, there wasn't no dots to be connected. He did it. I'm going to go 50 Cent on that. He did that. He did it. It's a sad situation. Not making light of it, but it's a very sad situation. But it is a tale to be told, folks. Do not go associate yourself with people without thinking about your own first interest, especially when you know certain people are shady. It's just crazy that people put that much trust in this man, Donald Trump, to the point that he could take them down and you don't even have a way to save your own ass. That's a problem. That is a very big problem. All right, so that's the latest around the election interference case down out of Georgia with the new trial date. Mr. Harrison Floyd. We'll see how his bond hearing goes and if he can pony up some money for that. But it doesn't look good. It looks like Mr. Harrison Floyd may be in prison a couple of days. It may look like that, but we will see. We will see what kind of bond is set for him. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, yeah, absolutely. When we come forward, let's talk to our team down in Montgomery, Alabama, because last week they just had another historic election. and they actually re-elected Mayor Stephen Reed, for mayor. And we will talk about what's going to happen at this point forward. Plus, there was a situation down there just happened earlier today. So we're going to get some of the latest things that are going on as we check in with our folks and our family down in Black Montgomery. So stay with us. The conversation is up next here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland. Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
You're rocking with the best.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we are streaming live on so many platforms. We can't even just name them because the movement is growing, folks. And we're very, very excited to be streaming in a lot of different ways that you can tune in each and every day here to the Black Star Network and Monday through Friday here on The Culture. And we're streaming, of course, right now on our social media platforms of Facebook under Roland Martin and YouTube under Roland Martin. It's on YouTube where you can join us in the conversation, be a culture crew member for the day, for the hour, whatever you want to do, just jump in. OG Legacy Culture crew members will welcome you with open arms and great for the dialogue and so much more. So join us in the conversation. And of course, there's no other place that you will be a part of the discussion like you are here on The Culture on the Black Star Network. All right, let me jump in now, talk to my folks, man. I'm so happy to just be able to connect with them and to build with them, and more importantly, get more information about what's happening in the great city of Montgomery, Alabama, as we have been talking to activists about everything that's been going on in the city, especially since that brawl on the riverboat. And so let's check back in with our sister Tamasha Brown. Brother Travis Jackson, both who are veterans, both who are working in the spaces of from everything from Black Lives Matter to Pan-Africanism and just making sure that the interest of the Black community is always at the forefront of folks' minds. So Tamasha, Brother Travis, thank you so much again for joining us today. How you feeling?
Good. Real
Good,
good.
good. All right, so let's.
rain.
Is it still raining down there?
We just barely got some yesterday, and I almost cried. I was like,
Wow, wow, wow! This must be a new day in Montgomery, right, Brother Travis? A new day in Montgomery. All right, so let's talk about what happened last week because y'all just had y'all mayoral election. Mayor Stephen Reed has officially been reelected. This is was the first Black mayor of Montgomery, Alabama. He has now been officially elected to serve a second term. Travis, I'm gonna start with you because Tamasha, I know where you stand on these things. But Brother Travis, what is there a sense of jubilation? What's the energy? What's the spirit of Black Montgomery now that Mayor Stephen Reed is staying in his place?
Well, before I get into the election, I would just like to say that I was one of the many people to drive people to their designating voting polls. I'm also affiliated with Black Voters Matter. And I've always believed that all voters cannot matter until Black voters matter. So with so much going on pertaining to the attack on Black votes, this mayor race, in my opinion, was probably more important than this mayor race was more important than the previous mayor race that happened in 2019. And you know, I was driving people to the polls, but the difference this time, and I've been affiliated with Black Voters Matter since 2017 when Doug Jones ran against went against Roy Moore. And so out of all the years that we have been driving people to their designated polls throughout the city of Montgomery, this year, there was a major voter suppression across the city limit. We had a lot of voters who were regulars with us. All of a sudden, had their voting locations changed to a different location. This time, unlike a lot of city elections, the Montgomery transit system did offer free rides, but they didn't provide free transportation to the voters designating poll. They just drove them to the bus station. Not bus station, but they just drove them to their designated bus stops. Now, that would not have been a problem if the weather was not over 100 degrees. But as you know, heat exhaustion is real, and so is dehydration. Now, mind you, a lot of voters, they're up in their age, like 50, 60, 70, and even 80. The oldest passenger that I had was an 81-year-old Black woman, and she was on crutches. And she called the bus, she called the transit system, and they said, yeah, we'll give you a ride, but we just can't give you a ride to your voting location. We can give you a ride to the bus stop that's closest to it. And so she said no, and she called Black Voters Matter, and I was one of the people to go help her take her to her designated voting poll.
Hey, Brother Travis, how far from the polls did she live?
She stayed a good distance. I'll say about 5 miles. But the bus stop that they were going to drop her off at was like even more longer. So
how does that make sense? So they were going to like ride past the voting area to drop her off at a bus stop that's further out from.
Correct.
And so in my opinion, this was a strategy, in my opinion, on the city level. And I'll be real with you on the state level, because I've been following the Allen versus Milligan case. And I believe that this was a retaliation towards not only how the way he handled the riverfront situation, Mayor Reed handled the riverfront situation, but I think that this was an outrage towards Black voters because Black voters have been black voters have been the top topic for the last 2 years, especially in the last year with the Allen versus Milligan case. But
Wow.
but regardless of the weather, yours truly, alongside with 15 volunteers this year, I was able to drive 10 people to their voting polls.
Come on, man.
I had Gatorade, I had my cooling towels, and I knew it was going to be hot. But as an Iraq veteran, you know, like we used to say in Iraq, beat the heat, and that's what I did for the movement for the empowerment of Black voters, Indigenous voters, and other voters of color.
Let me ask you this, Brother Travis, and I appreciate you kind of first and foremost, thank you for doing that work. You know what I mean? Get anyone to the polls in 2023 to vote for anything is always a big step and a blessing. But for you to get those 10 folks, including our elders, sister, 81 years old, for you to make that real. And that just goes to show you that we don't have an excuse not to vote. So when people say, I can't vote, blah, 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 it's really because they're choosing not to vote. It's not a priority, right? Like we all make time for what we want to do. And so it's one of those situations. So I appreciate you for doing that. What was the Black voter turnout on election day? Was it higher? Was it lower? Did that riverboat brawl increase turnout? What was the situation with that, Brother Travis?
From my viewpoint, honestly, I believe that like I said, pertaining to the voter suppression, you know, on the behalf of the Montgomery transit system, the turnout was much less than when Mayor Reed first ran for mayor. And
what would you say the reason was that? Why is that? Because you would think that, and I think that a lot of people would think that the riverboat situation would have kicked the turnout even higher, would have made at least a spike. But you're saying that it was low.
Yes, it was very low. I'll say around 30% the last time I did my research and read a couple articles. However, the people who did get out and vote, they also each volunteer has a bunch of pamphlets, you know, a few sheets of paper to give to the passengers, and basically it has the phone number, the point of contact, email on if you want to have a free ride or free transportation to your designated voting location. I believe that if it wasn't for our efforts, that voter turnout would have been much less. But I think talking to a friend of mine who is a very, very politically woke, he did inform me that it was like 30%. And so I think that turnout, I believe that turnout was less because of the voter suppression within the city. I believe it was the weather had a lot to do with it. And, you know, it's just people, like you said, just come up with random excuses. But I can also understand due to the weather, because everybody doesn't have strong immune systems to withstand extreme heat. So I could understand that, but we still did the damn thing, and by the end, yeah.
So and we got to take a quick pause when we come forward. Since Tamasha, I want to get your take on a few things, but I mean, I definitely agree with you, Brother Travis, that it was probably the weather, it was probably the circumstances. I mean, the heat will cut out a lot of people from moving around, so I can only imagine. But more importantly, the fact that if it's even 35% turnout, folks, and think about this, that means that majority of people refused or did not go to the polls. You're talking about maybe 60, maybe 70, 65% of the people who are eligible to vote didn't go to the polls. And I think, Brother Travis and Tamasha, that's the part. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, even if the voting turnout turned out to be 40%, you still have a vast majority of people who are not voting. And you got to ask the question, well, why is that? Is it because of the candidate? Is it because of the weather? Is it because people have lost faith in the system? there are so many factors. That's the point that I think we need to kind of, key in on. The fact that you have this high dissatisfaction rate, and you can't just say, well, people are just not voting because they don't care. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. Look, we got to take a quick pause when we come forward. More conversation with our Black Montgomery, Alabama team. Sister Tamasha, Brother Travis, checking in as they talk about the re-election of Mayor Stephen Reed and the impact that's making on the city of Montgomery. Folks, join us in the conversation. Post your thoughts on our YouTube page under Roland Martin and stay with us. We still got more to talk about here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland. Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We've been checking in with my sister and brother down in Montgomery, Alabama, Brother Travis Jackson, who is a veteran. He's an activist. He's a part of Black Lives Matter, Black Voters Matter, doing a lot of fantastic things. And then my sister Tamasha Brown, who is a veteran and activist as well, working in many different spaces to bring veterans and the community together on a number of issues. Brother Travis, again, we thank you so much for giving us an update on the work that y'all have been doing to get people to the polls for last week's mayoral election. Sister Tamasha, I want to get your take on this. So now that Mayor Reed is back in office, is there any sense from this black man that there are going to be some changes? I know that he said, and I saw one report where he said the old Montgomery, we're not going back to the old Montgomery. So are you confident, are you feeling hopeful that he's going to change some things for the better, especially when it comes to race relations in the city and making sure that the black community of Black Montgomery gets his due, is due, and gets the investment that it needs?
I do think that at some point Montgomery will get to a place where the mayor and the community are on one accord. But for Mayor Reed, he had 4 years to kind of do it already in the beginning. So right now it's almost reset, but it's too far down the line to just start over. So,
So what's
you know, it's like
what's his relationship like, Sister Tamasha? What's his relationship like right now with Black Montgomery?
you know what, in my honest opinion, it's real cliquish. You know, it's certain pastors, certain people, certain groups that seem to have access to him, that seem to get the interview, that seem to get the conversation, that type of thing. But you don't see him in the inner community where they're actually in government housing. You don't see him on the ground. You'll see him out at the Hyundai plant or at some of the manufacturers, but you won't see him out in the actual areas like the heartbeat of the cities, so that people can feel that he actually understands. So, you know, again, his father has a Joe Reed has a far reach, far out. I mean, his reputation far succeeds him. And Mayor Reed being the first Black mayor, that title and those words in combination carry a lot of weight. As far as a lot of room it clears. So accountability wise, you would think, okay, he would hold himself to that bar, but how it's, you know, it's a comfortable blanket that's been rolled. So it took the brawl, it took a lot of things, and even things that are happening now that's kind of putting situations in a place where he's going to have to do his job. But there's always going to be a catch-22. The laws in Alabama are designed to cater to the white men that built the laws when they did this, especially during the Civil War or whatnot. And so, you know, a lot of these things that were created, even if he does try to implement the maximum, if you will, it would never hit like it should because it wasn't founded on true equality. So it's more, he will be ransoming his world for hours, even though we think that we're the same because he's Black and we're Black. So it's so many layers, right? It's so many layers. So his election, you know, I think that the gap in election and why we didn't see so many is because some were actually undecided. I think that Gilbreth, or the guy, if I'm saying his name right, Gilead or whatever, he came in kind of unaware. No one thought that he would hold any kind of weight. And then towards the end, it was like, boom, you know, this guy from Florida is coming here who has dual residency running for mayor. And anyone that looks at the old colonial maps would know that Alabama was also a part of that whole Florida. Like, we stretched out. You didn't have Florida how it is now as a whole. You had East Florida and West Florida, you know, and Alabama was included in that along with Georgia. So there are some connections deeply that if he had took seat here, I think prophetically it would have resurrected that type of unison on a level far past what we've all seen in our lifetimes. And it would have created a vast similarity between how Florida is now and what we have going on. I think that with the homeowner association not backing him up in this last re-election, it spoke volumes to what they felt as far as the safety and home community of the area.
Yeah.
So I think that it created a hesitation for people to be like, well, it's not that I want them out, but we also don't want to just vote someone in that's just going to come and just start slamming down the book, you know, without any kind of understanding of the ground, you know. So it's right. It was, I think it was lesser of the two evils, but that's kind of what swayed it. Everyone had an opinion when the brawl happened, and then as soon as they seen him, and it immediately turned into, if you don't want to go to jail, vote for Reed. If you don't want to roadblock, vote for Reed. You know, and since he's been reelected, you know, because Black community started coming out, you know I don't like him, but we need him, you know, and I'm like, here we go, the Black momentum thing, boom.
And you know what, and Brother Travis, it's a very unhealthy relationship. You know what I'm saying? Because when we find ourselves, and this is not just Montgomery, I come from Baltimore. I've come from a line of Black mayors, especially Black women mayors. But it's an unhealthy relationship in that part of we want to see our people in power. We want to see someone that looks like us have the influence, have the resources, have the power to change the reality of our people in our lives. But if that person, if that candidate or that elected official doesn't come across to build that puts us as constituents, as part of the Black community, it puts us in a trick bag. Because now we're like, damn, man, like I want to see a Black man, a Black woman in a position, but at the same time, if that person is not speaking to your interest, Now you got to figure out like, yo, do I put them on? You know what I mean? And that's, I found out to be, that is one of the big challenges for all of us in Black America, that we have even federal people who are in power, but then at the same time, you're like, you're not doing enough. So do you kick them out and hope for the best? Brother Travis and Sister Tamash, I'm gonna get your take on that, Brother Travis.
Well, I while my fellow activist has been speaking her mind like Angela Davis, I have, which is like righteously, all facts that she just mentioned. I have posted some comments within the chat, and the last comment that I mentioned was about respectable politics. I think you get these. How can I put this?
This shit, leave me alone.
Like,
nobody tell you nothing.
How can I put this? When you get these, when there are Black politicians, there is a sense of camaraderie amongst the Black community. But what a lot of people don't understand, just because they're Black doesn't mean they think all Black lives matter. Just because they're Black doesn't mean that they have your best interests. They just want your vote. It's kind of like the white moderates and the white liberals. There is a such thing as Black liberals and Black moderates. But as Dr. Martin Luther King mentioned about the moderates, they are just like in between. And like Malcolm X says, if you're neutral, then you side with the oppressor. And not all skin folks are kin folks. I think we tend, as a Black community as a whole, not just in the Deep South, but throughout America, I think we have forgotten that just because someone is Black doesn't mean they have their best interests for you or by you. Just because they're Black, just like you are, doesn't mean they're going to talk with you, and vice versa. So what I think the problem with this is, and what I see when it comes to a lot of Black politicians, yes, they are ride or die, do or die for the communities. But when they get in their cool office, with AC, it's like they forget where they come from. They forget their struggle. And a lot of white people, particularly so-called white allies, they cling on to that type of mentality, and that's where respectable politics comes into play. It's like, I have to appease people if I want to be successful, but instead of saying that, they need to be saying, well, I need to be mindful. I should not forget where I came from. I should not forget what it was like going everywhere on my 2 feet, rather than just me driving in this fancy vehicle that I now can afford because I made it. And
you saying something there. Brother Travis, you saying the word, you gonna start preaching, man. That's Nah, brother, you saying something. You absolutely right, big brother. You are saying something. All right, Sister Tamash, we got a couple of moments left. But what's the accountability measure? I know that now that Reed is in office, and I'm right there with Brother Travis in that same mentality. Like, and a couple of my crew members are saying the same thing. Let me see. You are not a victim. You checked in. You said vote for policies, not race. I agree. You got to look at the person and their policy, where they stand on the issues, and not look at the fact that, some of us get so excited. Oh my gosh, she's a Black man, or that's a Black woman, and they have a Black family, and they seem nice, and they, and it gets all on the other stuff, right? Like we did the Obamas. We have done that to the Obamas, right? To a degree. We're like, oh my gosh. So we give them a pass when we actually probably got to start turning up the heat on our own elected officials, Sister Tamasha, because guess what? You should know better.
Listen, when the sensation.
So how y'all gonna hold Mayor Stephen Reed accountable?
You know what? At this very moment, one of the reasons why I'm kind of at a still right now is because just 2 hours ago, or since he's been reelected, of course, we haven't heard much about the brawl. He did make a statement out to the public saying that, okay, I've been a Black man in Montgomery, and I'm also a Black mayor, so I do understand both sides of the coin. We're gonna, and these do sound hate crime-ish, but we haven't heard no movement since, and that's typical of what happens election year. Now, since that's happened, we had a situation happen in the community where a swastika, the Nazi symbol, was sprayed or painted on someone's home, and their windows were busted out, and it was definitely a hate crime. So along with everything that's going on in the nation, this also occurred. Today, as of 11 something this morning, if not maybe sooner, a 18-wheeler food truck exploded under a bridge that actually goes over one of our primary highways in and out the city. So from me being military, looking at that, it reminded me of Oklahoma City bombing. It triggered some type of terroristic activity. And so when you combine the two and looking at it, even though things do happen, it just seemed real coincidental that these things happen and they have the same energy around it. So, you know, it feels retaliatory because these things are happening. It did do some significant damage to the infrastructure of that bridge. So, and that bridge is one commuted by people that work for the state and our sanitation departments. So it's grievous because we don't even know, we haven't received, in Black community, we have to start dealing with our issues. Okay, Mayor, read all that to the side. We have to deal and start holding ourselves accountable so that we can unify and hold our council and citymen and congressmen accountable. Even though we assume and we know that they know the language, they know what we battle with, we all come from that same cloth. When they're sitting in that type of power, any of us in management position at any job knows the game is different when you elevate. So we can't forget that these are the same pressures and more that they're experiencing, but you also can't sell your soul. So just like we have the option to decline, to write someone up or pick on somebody just because somebody else does it, these mayors could choose to do what they can do. Everything can't be wrapped up in the law of what Congress said or the Supreme Court. There has to be something you can do without all the cut and filter. So that's what I meant before when I said I need to fill them. So it's accountability wise, he just needs to step up and get involved on that end. But we as a community can't hold them right now because we got so many things like this going on, you know, that's actually taking away from that energy right now.
Wow, you know. There it is. Look, Sister Tamasha, Brother Travis, I thank the both of you for checking back in and kind of giving us the latest on the situation down in Montgomery. We're going to keep our eyes on the situation, and the work that both of you have been doing has been absolutely tremendous, and I know it has been a huge inspiration for all of us who have been watching and checking in. So I thank you both, but we have to keep the fight going. And this situation down in Montgomery is just another sign that, look, the fight is over. The liberation struggle is real. And guess what? You got some soldiers like Travis and Tamasha on the ground to make a different reality for our people. So thank y'all both for doing the great work and most importantly, being so good for the culture. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk about August being Black Business Month. We're almost at the end of the month, but I'm going to check in with one entrepreneur to give us the latest on how we can make sure that the landscape for growing Black business continues to happen. We'll have that conversation on the other side. Stay with us. It's the culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Raji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation, folks. We just had a fantastic discussion with our team and our family down in Montgomery, Alabama. Travis Jackson, Tamasha Brown checking in, sharing with us the latest around the re-election of Black Mayor Stephen Reed, the first Black mayor of the city of Montgomery. He got a second term. And we just talked about the impact and implications of that on Black Montgomery. Make sure y'all be a part of Team Replay. Take a look at that conversation. Also, we also talked about the election interference case of President Donald Trump, how a trial date has been set, and the fate of his former director of Blacks for Trump, Mr. Harrison Floyd, and his fate, as there's now a bond hearing set for him, even though he says he still was not able to retain a lawyer. So if you want to hear that first hour, make sure y'all check in, be a part of Team Replay, and go to blackstarnetwork.com, where all of the past shows and even our live shows are always streamed, blackstarnetwork.com. And of course, to our partners, Amazon News on Fire TV, Plex TV, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can check us out there. And a whole lot of other all on our social media as well, Facebook, Instagram, where we're streaming live right now. And that's where you can join us to be a part of the culture crew. So we're streaming on free on a number of, you see this right here, folks? There it is. Let me do that. Boom. There it is right there. Make sure y'all do that. Show your support. And of course, support us here at Black Star Network, because every cent counts for this movement. All right, let's talk about August being Black Business Month. This is a month that's where we're supposed to celebrate, talk about the great contributions of Black businesses. And today we want to do our part. Though it's almost the end of the month, the fact is that we can always make a space and have time to talk about the beauty, the value, and the importance of Black businesses. So let me check in with my brother Tony Randall, who owns Next Phaze Restaurant in my hometown of the great city of Baltimore. Talk to us about what it means to be a Black entrepreneur and so much more. Brother Tony, thank you for your patience. Good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm super. I'm great. Thanks for having us.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I was about to say, can you hear me? Because I wanted to make sure y'all got smiling faces.
I can hear you now. Yeah. So thanks for having us. It's great being here, and it's definitely great being a Black business. We are Next Phaze Cafe in downtown Baltimore, 2 blocks from City Hall, directly across the street from the courthouse. A lot of politics, a lot of cases, and a lot of judges and other folks come down here to enjoy soul food and live entertainment. From a culture perspective, we're very happy to be part of the downtown community. There's a lot of development going on down here. You hear oftentimes on the news about the things that are not so great, but we're happy to be residents or be, I guess, a business in the downtown community. Because of where we're located, we serve a very diverse group of customers, lawyers, judges, and we just have folks that have moved into some of the new apartment buildings nearby. So any day of the week, you never know who's going to come into Next Phaze. And we've been able to stay true to our heritage by offering soul food. I'll talk a little bit about our menu. Of course, we have mac and cheese, collard greens, catfish, southern fried wings, yams.
Why you gotta say, Brother Tony? Why you gotta say? Wait, hold on, Brother Tony. First thing, hold on. We gotta go back a little bit because I see my sister there. I'm not going to disregard no Black woman on national TV. So positive. I'm not going to. You got to tell me who's the sister that's sitting right next to you, Brother Tony.
I'm going to say this sister can speak for herself, and she's very well trained and knows what to say and when to say it. So without further introduction, I'm going to let her tell you who she is and speak on her own
Hi, I'm Tamika. I'm the other owner at Next Phaze Cafe. We are the daddy-daughter teams. I'm Tony's daughter, aka.
Come on.
Tamika.
See, first thing. Hey man, look, I got a daughter, she's 4-year-old, right? So I only hope and pray that her and I can be in a venture together. So Sister Tamika, you are the daughter of Brother Tony. Sister Tamika, if you don't mind, or you could just say you in your 20s, your 30s, because I can't tell now because black don't crack. So give me a sense of what your age range might be.
I just turned 40.
What?
I just turned 40 on August 20th.
Hey, yo, Brother Tony.
So that means I'm 22.
Wait, hold on, Tony. Hey, Tony, when we get offline, I'm going to give you my address so you can send me some of the magic water she's drinking. Because that's crazy. 40 years old. Damn. 40 years old. All right, so Sister Tamika, you working with your dad. Right. And is this your oldest daughter, Brother Tony, or what? How many children you got, big brother? Can you hear me? How many children you got, Tony?
First and only daughter. 3 kids.
First and only daughter.
Yes, so I don't think I plan to have any more.
Oh, okay. I was just checking.
You're still trying to figure out how you're going to get that product to keep us looking young, right?
I gotta figure it out. So let me just say this. So you got it's a daughter daddy team that's owning this restaurant, which is absolutely phenomenal. And Brother Tony and Sister Tamika, talk to us. How long? First, Sister Tamika, I'll answer this question of you then. How long has this restaurant? How long have you guys been entrepreneurs or working in the entrepreneurial hospitality space?
We've been. I'll let the other owner answer that question.
Right.
So Next Phaze Cafe, we just celebrated our 6-year anniversary here at our brick and mortar on Juneteenth, actually. But we've been in business with Next Phaze for 7 years. We started off as catering. We had like a pop-up type of restaurant going on. We were doing dinner concerts, and we were also permanently catering for another company where we had a space before we had our own.
That is absolutely phenomenal. So it's been about 6 or 7 years that y'all have been doing this with the cafe.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes, but we've been in the business. We've been in the business probably 11 years. We owned a restaurant prior to this restaurant, a very popular upscale restaurant in near downtown Baltimore from 2012 to about 16 till we opened up Next Phaze. So,
that's what's up right there.
Yeah,
that is what's up. Look, I got
Tamika was a part of that as well.
Okay, good. Please give that sister credit, man. Don't come on here not giving no credit to no black woman. Look, I got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk a little bit about what it means to be a black entrepreneur, a black business owner. We're going to continue the conversation with Tamika and Tony as they talk about the work they're doing as entrepreneurs, restaurant owners of Next Phaze Cafe right there in downtown Baltimore. And of course, folks, the conversation will continue with you as we continue to talk about August being Black Business Month. Stay with us. The discussion continues on the other side right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. We are celebrating and talking about the importance and the extreme value of Black businesses, as on the month of August is National Black Business Month. If you did not know, folks, that's what this month represents. Now, according to the statistics, 2018 data from the Annual Business Survey and non-employer statistics by demographics, there were more than 3.2 million Black-owned U.S. businesses employing over 1.18 million workers, based on figures provided by the U.S. Small Business Administration. Now, some of these 19.4% of employer firms in 2019 were minority-owned, totaling about 1.1 million firms, and 2.4% were Black-owned. Now, that's just to give you some statistics about where we are in this country. That, and of course, this is from 2018. This is being 2023. Things can go up and down, but you can roughly say about 3 million. 3 million Black businesses are in America of varying sizes, different industries, of course, and of course, with different incomes that they're being generated. And so we're talking about this as we've been checking in with Brother Tony Randall and his daughter Tamika to talk to us about the work that they're doing as restaurant owners, working in the restaurant and hospitality field. They're working in it as Black entrepreneurs. And as much as we can, talk more about the importance of Black businesses. Brother Tony and Tamika, thank you again for being with us this afternoon. Talk to us about having a business like this. Brother Tony, you mentioned before the break that in 2000 you had another restaurant. Then you you and your daughter went to found Next Phaze Cafe, and trying to just continue to branch out. Talk to us about this process that you and her have gone through to even have this business. Did you find that people were responding well to the businesses that you guys opened up? Has government, the city leadership, kind of helped to remove some of the red tape? Talk to us a little bit about that process, Brother Tony.
Well, and to be honest, when we first established Next Phaze Cafe, because we had a background, right? We had another restaurant. We came into the game with, I guess you can say, a wealth of support from political leaders, from the community, and so forth. But think about it. We opened this restaurant in 2017, all right? And it takes a couple of years to build a brand, right? To build a product. So right as we were building this locomotive, building this engine to run this business, COVID hit in 2020. So it changed the entire dynamics of where we were. We had built the business, we were in the black, we're moving along. I want to talk about what that means to us and the kind of impact it had, because it is still current, the impact. we were put in a situation where we had to rely more on our own communities than we ever could have in the past. Not to say there wasn't political support, there weren't people around to help us out, but their focus was on dealing with this virus that was killing people. And we were left alone, right? Remember, we were shut down as a restaurant, trying to figure out how to go from a full service restaurant to carry out. Now, not to bore everyone with the story of COVID and the impact, the culture that we're in and the dynamics of the support that we receive from our own people, Juneteenth, and the number of posts in social media encouraging people to support Black businesses is still ongoing, to the point where there are more Black businesses in this specific area than I've seen since I've been here. We were one of few, if not the only one. I know of three that are nearby within 4 or 5 blocks. So what I want to say is, we as a people, when we work to support one another as other cultures do, we can do nothing other than be successful. The key is to expand that support into other communities. And Tamika can talk to you and tell you that we're expanding to another location on the west side of Baltimore. And that's a result of all of this stuff that's been happening. Yes, we're getting a lot of support from the political community because our restaurants were shut down. You took away the things that were most important to us. So we needed funding to figure out how to deal with online delivery, carry out, and all that other stuff. But out of that, we had nothing else to do for 2.5 years but talk to one another and learn about each other. And I think the restaurant industry, or restaurants specifically, are an important landmark in the community. It is the place, the hub, where people can congregate and talk about community issues. We host a number of community events, even during COVID, with us being 6 feet apart and spaced out. We met outside and had meetings with some of the downtown organizations. Some of the politicians made announcements in front of this building. And I think those things that occurred, those attributes, is what has a significant impact on the African-American economic circumstances, whether you're a restaurant or whether you're a retail outlet selling clothing.
But you know, I think there's a, and I'm glad that you kind of laid out that story, because Sister Tamika, there's a part of that. One is that, Brother Tony, I of course, by me coming from Morgan State working on WEAA, we did events all at Next Phaze all the time. You know what I'm saying? That radio station, a Black-owned station at an HBCU connected to a Black restaurant. It just made sense, right?
Yes.
But see, the thing is, I think about with Next Phaze Cafe for you and your daughter, Brother Tony, is that you have those relationships. And Sister Tamika, talk to us about, there are a lot of Black-owned businesses that don't have those relationships, that don't have that support network in place where you can, you know, nobody's trying to see Next Phaze Cafe get shut down because of health issues or whatever the case may be, right? So talk to us about that, because that is a huge grind for a lot of Black businesses. They just don't have the support. They don't have the political support. Black folks may come to their business once or twice, but then if there is a problem with service, if there's a problem with the cost, whether it's, you know, in a restaurant or retail space, Black folks ain't coming back, man. I mean, we one and done. You know that, Brother Tony said to me. We one and done. So Sister Tamika, talk to us about the importance of a Black business building those relationships, creating an infrastructure of support for your business.
I want to say, well, number one, you mentioned folks that don't necessarily have those connections or those resources. One of the biggest things that's free is social media. A lot of people have found out about us. I found out about a number of other Black-owned businesses just by people sharing and tagging other businesses on social media.
But does that work? Because I always wonder, does that really work?
It works. Prime example is Tony, my dad, mentioned, as he mentioned a few minutes ago, during COVID 2020, Juneteenth, matter of fact, was one of our first biggest sales days of our history in the beginning. We've gone beyond that point, but that was a result of people posting on social media saying support Black-owned businesses and tagging different Black-owned restaurants. And that was the first time we actually were swamped, really. We didn't have enough staff, and everyone was nice and patient. We had lines going out the door, and this was during COVID when we were all supposed to be 6 feet apart and everyone wearing masks, and people were still wearing gloves at this point to touch the register and things like that. So social media does make a big difference in the younger generations. I'm going to say that. Maybe not as much for the older, but for the younger folks, they are on social media, and that's how they find out about a number of different businesses. So it's something that small that can build connections and networking with one another. It's all about us supporting one another.
Did you find, Sister Tamika, have y'all found that Black folks, I mean, y'all run a cafe, y'all run a restaurant. Black folks eat, man. We a bunch of foodies, man. Like, we love to eat. So that's not even, and then you started off the conversation today, Brother Tony, talking about we got the best mac and cheese. What you start?
Don't forget about the crab cake. Since we talking about
See, you gonna have people coming to Baltimore. You feel what I'm saying? Like, but see, but it's I think, and I'm saying that because if the food is good and the price is market value price, the only thing you got to do is create the ambiance and the service. Well, not the only thing, but one of the big pieces are creating that ambiance, creating that service to drive the point home, because people will support you, especially in a food restaurant. But if you don't have a food restaurant, like a retail space, like you mentioned earlier, Brother Tony, if you're selling clothes, if you're providing a service, maybe you're working in the insurance company, you're trying to get more Black people to sign up for insurance or something. Like, these businesses are much more, I would think, more challenging to appeal to people because it's not something quite as tangible as food. It's important, but it's not quite as tangible. And I noticed, maybe I'm wrong on this, Brother Tony, Sister Tamika, I could be completely wrong. I see a lot of our people getting into more of the service industry, food, cosmetology, hair. That's those industries more so than the product industry of clothing and other things like that. I could be completely wrong, but I think a part of that is because it's easier to see versus, hey, I'm going to an insurance company. That relationship is different. Am I wrong in thinking this, Sister Tamika?
Well, you're not. I'm not going to say you're wrong or right because I'm not absolutely sure on the data, but I do see a lot of retail. And as far as just to piggyback on what we said earlier, it's all about support. So we're Black-owned restaurant. We need uniforms. So we support a Black-owned business that does embroidery and makes our uniforms. We supported a Black-owned cleaners that cleaned our clothes and uniforms, tablecloths. We keep giving back or sharing one another. That's really how you get the word around. Starts with us.
It does. It absolutely does. And I think that is the big part of this. Look, I got to take another pause. Brother Tony says to me, y'all got to tell us the secret to your success, because what y'all doing is something that a lot of folks talk about doing, which is bridging the gap, creating intergenerational wealth, as they say. You are both in business with one another. First and foremost, I gotta get the tea, because somebody's pissing somebody off daily in this relationship.
I'm not gonna say what
we're gonna talk about it later. I know you got national TV, your dad, you know what I'm saying? I get it. And nobody wants to throw shade on nobody. I just want a little bit.
We'll give you the tea when we come back.
I just want a little bit of tea because working with your parents or working with your child is not easy. That is not easy. And for y'all been doing it for 6 or 7 years, man, y'all must really like each other.
I'll just say we've been doing it much more than 6 or 7 years since she was a very little girl. She's been working with me.
I feel you that, Tony. You are her dad, so that relationship it runs deep. It runs deep.
She had no choice.
She had no.
So you may want to talk about that slave mentality, right? You gotta go downstairs and work.
Right. Right, but see, here's the thing though. When we talk about black businesses, my father's an entrepreneur himself. He had that spirit. And I remember trying to go into business with him, and it was hard. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I didn't like it. I was like, damn, man, like I'm just 17, Bob, chill out, man. Like, we gotta do it like this. And I'm like, but I know that there's value in it. And so on the other side, I want to get your take on that, because that is a huge benefit for black-owned businesses, that it is an opportunity to create generational wealth and then pass something down to your children, even though they may not always be all for it. Nobody want to see daddy's shop closed down. Nobody want to see that. So it's something else. We're going to talk a little bit about on the other side. Folks, stay with us. The conversation continues as we celebrate August being National Black Business Month right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. We've been talking about August being National Black Business Month, checking in with Black entrepreneur restaurant owners, Tony Randall and his daughter Tamika, as they're checking in all the way from the great city of Baltimore, as they serve as the owners of Next Phaze Cafe right there in downtown Baltimore, providing you some of the best food the city has to offer, and talking about just some of the complexities and some of the layers of being a Black business owner. And folks, if you are in a space or place where in any part of the country where you can support a Black business, definitely do your due diligence and support a local Black business in your area. Trust and believe your support will go a long way. We talk about it here on the show, and of course, rolling on this network, that supporting Black businesses is a good thing. It's a good move. It is a worthy investment. And so we would invite you to do so. And even if you might say, well, I went there one time and it didn't do this, the customer service that, the prices was that, your support, we got to get past certain things, man, to see the big picture. Things will grow. Walmart didn't start in a day, right? Some of your biggest restaurants, those 4 and 5 star restaurants, they didn't get to that space just overnight. There was support and there was growth and there was opportunity. But more importantly, somebody came in there, invested in those businesses and gave it and saw something bigger. So support your local Black business in whatever neighborhood that you're in, whatever state that you're in. If you can support a Black business, not just for the month of August, but for the rest of the year, make that a priority. Saying, look, I'm going to support a new Black business once a month, something, but make sure you support a Black business. Brother Tony, Sister Tamika, I want to talk to you. And again, I'm really, really grateful for your time with us this afternoon. But I want to talk to you about working with each other to build the generational wealth piece, right? Brother Tony, I'm gonna start with you with this because you're the dad. You have all of these skills that you bring to the table as a person. How did this situation start? And when did it in your mind that you said, you know what, I want to have my daughter to be a part of this. I think her and I would be a good fit to make these businesses happen, because that is not easy for some people. Some people don't even like their children, let alone want to work with them. That was a joke. That was a joke. Go ahead, talk to us.
It's interesting that you asked the question because it's the reverse of what most people think. It's not the father asking the daughter to be a part of a business. It was the daughter saying, Dad, you're shutting down this other thing. You need to create another one. And we're going to figure it out. So yeah.
So she basically bullied you to be a partner. You're gonna be this partner because I'm gonna make your business work.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes, I was the aggressor.
Yeah. So just to give you a little bit, my background is in IT, real estate. I do a lot of other stuff, and my businesses were in those areas. Real estate company, flipping houses, renting houses, blah, 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 and so forth. And we owned a restaurant that was successful. Tamika enjoyed working there. And when, we were shutting it down, she came to me and she can tell you verbatim what she said, but she pretty much said, Dad, let's do another restaurant. Let's just do something a little different. And that's why it's called Next Phaze, because we're always taking food and entertainment to the next level. So it was Tamika's idea to go back into the restaurant industry. This is the most difficult industry I've ever worked in my entire life. I will not tell anybody it isn't. All of my friends said, don't do it. Okay, but this young lady here said, Dad, don't do it. So
wait a minute. So now that's powerful. That's first and foremost, that's a credit to her upbringing and her vision to see that. Tamika, why were you so sure that your dad needed to open up a second restaurant, given the volatile nature of the industry?
So to be honest with you, I ended up working at the previous restaurant kind of by accident. I was just supposed to be helping out temporarily until they filled the position. And I ended up liking it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay here. Don't hire nobody else. I'm going to just do this. And while I was there, I learned a whole lot about the industry. I had worked in restaurants before, but I learned a lot of the background, all of the non-fun things, the admin work, what it took to keep the business running. And it was like, as soon as I had finally figured it all out, the restaurant was closing. I'm like, no, now that we know all of the things we know, we can start over and it will be successful. So that was how I bullied him into opening up.
See, you know, it was gonna be a different story. The dad beating the daughter saying, "Come work for me." No.
I'm gonna be honest with you, brother Tony. I thought that was the story, but the true mastermind is your daughter. So I get it.
Right. I got to tell you another part of it. I told her, if it doesn't work, I'm going to say it's your fault. If it worked, thank God. Thank you, Tamika. It was a great idea.
Hey, look, brother Tony. 6 years later, you're still like, I'm gonna tell that it's working. All right, so
it's not an easy road. We will say that to anybody.
Right.
It's not an easy industry. One of the first things I shared in our very first staff meeting was that 89% of restaurants closed within the first year. That is the statistic. So we are very happy and proud to report that we have been here for 6 whole years now. That's a real accomplishment.
And the real accomplishment, Sister Tamika, the real accomplishment is that y'all have used your relationship as the cornerstone for your success. Yes. And I'm very serious. Like I know that working with family in general is a hard pass for a lot of people. People like, nope, I don't want to work with family, don't want to work with somebody close to me. But for y'all to make it work is a testament of the quality of the love and the relationship y'all have. Now, talk to us a little bit about the generational wealth piece. What is your view on that? I'm gonna ask the mastermind on this one, Brother Tony. So, Tamika, what's the view of building generational wealth? Do you have children? Do you foresee your children kind of coming into this process as well?
So I have 4 children.
Okay, awesome. 2
of them are already here. The youngest one thinks he is the 3rd owner. So my children are already well endowed in this industry. They've been working with us since they were in elementary school, and 2 of them are, well, I'm not going to say almost grown. I'm sorry. One is grown, one is almost grown, and they've been working with us for years. 2 of my children actually were cooks here. One is still a cook, and the other one has moved on. We've trained him or cross-trained him to do various things around the restaurant. That's far awesome. As admin work, running the restaurant. We're trying to teach them early how to be able to run this business. They all have in their mind that this is something that is their legend. It's a part of them. And they're all working towards making sure they keep the restaurant going on.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I know for you, Brother Tony, it must bring you a lot of joy to your heart to see your grandchildren, your daughter, you know what I'm saying? Like something that you're passionate about ended up being their passion. Talk to us about what that experience is like for you, bro.
I don't take it for granted. Like Tamika didn't talk about it a whole lot, but my grandson, who is her oldest child, if he wasn't 20, he probably could run this entire restaurant and anything that we do in the future. The blessing and the warmth that comes in my heart from watching him as a child grow into this business it's a beautiful thing to witness, and it's a happy thing to say that I'm a part of. My grandson told me when he was in elementary school, he was about 8 or 10?
I think he was like 10.
He was about 10 years ago. His school had asked me to come speak, during career day or something. I said, gee, I'm going to talk to this kid. What can I say? So I flipped the switch and asked the kids to tell me what they wanted to do when they grow up. And everybody wanted to be all kinds of things: doctors, lawyers, basketball players. And my grandson said, I want your job. And he was 10 years old when he said that. And when the class ended, I said, you know what? I'm going to teach you how to do my job. So from that age until now, 10 years later, I'm happy to say that he has the skills and the know-how, not the experience to do my job, but he has the skills and the know-how and the willpower
that's awesome.
To do it. And, I'm just amazed. What Tamika didn't talk about is, what it's like being the dad. They have to be better than everybody else because you have to be the example. You have to be the role model. So the question should be to them, how does that feel growing up, having to be, erect, having to be, focused all the time and be an example to others? That's probably pretty stressful. I didn't have that growing up because I had to build everything myself from scratch in every business and every entity.
That's beautiful,
so I want to share that well with my kids and now my grandkids. But I would flip the switch and say, well, what does it feel like to be in that position? And probably, we see the rewards and benefits on the other side, but what are the consequences of their personal life? My grandson at 16 years old lived in a restaurant. The 10-year-old is here all the time. But they love it. We're not beating them upside the head saying, come to work, you need to be here. My grandson would get off the bus and jump in an Uber to get here when someone didn't show up for work. I would just say, I need some help. I say the beauty behind that is we instilled those values, Tamika did, and I did, into our children and her children, and that's that whole generational wealth thing. That's how it blossoms, because we're building value. We're not talking about dollars and cents. We're talking about more ethics, right? Moral beliefs, and so forth. So we traditionally, we don't have those opportunities to work with one another in our own business.
Let me just say this. Let me say this, Brother Tony, says Tamika. Y'all are like the model of what we want for the culture. You know what I'm saying? In terms of creating a Black business, creating an institution, because sometimes we kind of think, I think we kind of like psych ourselves out because we think it's got to be like a quote unquote Fortune 500 company before before we start bringing in our family and friends, our family, and really seeing the value of it. What you're doing from the groundwork, you don't know that your grandsons might be the next top chef because they worked in a restaurant, or the next. I spoke to a brother a few weeks ago, Brother Tony, says Tamika, that go around to different restaurants and help them. He's called like the restaurant doctor. So he helps them to make sure that their restaurants are high level, Black-owned restaurants, Black-owned spaces, but making sure that they're a certain level. So that way, when to get more business and to create a bigger reputation. But y'all are doing something I think is very, very special. You're bringing in family, you're teaching the next generation certain skills, and you're all doing this while building an institution that y'all can all essentially eat from, physically, literally, and metaphorically. You're going to be able to eat from the work that y'all put in. So I just want to say I thank y'all and congratulations. And I think that the work of both of you, the time that you spent, the energy that you spent, the talent and skills that it takes for you to run a restaurant through turbulent times from COVID and to the ups and downs of the economics that we are in this country, and just being a Black business owner. It just shows that you both want this. You are making time for this. You're putting your family's lives into this. It's just so good for the culture, man. I'm listening to y'all's story and I'm just like, this is exactly what we are talking about.
Absolutely.
This is exactly what we're talking about. And so to Tamika, I thank you for encouraging your dad to not give up, to say, Dad, we're going to do this again. Sometimes, hey, look, I get it. Because, look, I'm prepared for my daughter to be like, Daddy. And it only takes a Black woman to be like, tell a Black man, we ain't giving up. Who going home? Ain't nobody going home up in here. And so whether that's from your child, whether that's from your significant other, whether it's from a family member, whoever the case may be, we sometimes need that. So I just thank y'all, man. That's why I'm just happy to have y'all on the show, so that way we can showcase that this is what Black business is all about. Family is all about passing something on, tradition, creating a new legacy, and all the while, y'all making some money. Come on, man. Come on. Come on. Can't get no better than that. All right, folks. The place is Next Phaze Cafe, right there in downtown Baltimore. The owners are Tony Randall, his daughter Tamika. And let me put that back. The owners are Tamika, and then there's the other guy, Tony. Go to their website today, folks. Take a look at the food on the website. I mean, it's American cuisine, but trust and believe you will not be disappointed. Look at that. Look at that. Look at God. That looks delicious. So make sure y'all do that. Make sure you can set reservations. And of course, just be supportive. If you're visiting Baltimore, make sure that you show your support for Next Phaze Cafe. Tony, Tamika, thank you so much for being with me this afternoon. But more importantly, thank you for being so good for the culture. We truly appreciate y'all. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, Trends, Posts, and Doing the Most. Stay with us. It's the culture here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, as we wrap up the show here, let me share with you just a very quick trending topic. If you did not know, yesterday was a big day, an important day in our culture. Yesterday, it was the third year commemoration and celebration of life for our brother Chadwick Boseman, the one who has played the revered character of King T'Challa, the Black Panther himself. He passed away, of course, from cancer 3 years ago yesterday. And Lupita Nyong'o, one of his great co-workers, and she put out this very, very touching post about the actor as she celebrated and just lifted up Brother Chadwick Boseman's name. And let me just tell y'all, there are people that transition and that pass on, but this was one of them, people that you could tell these are special individuals when you don't know a person personally, but you feel like you know them, to the point that when you hear of their passing, you actually feel it. There are a number of people that I felt this way for, celebrities, high-profile individuals, and Chadwick Boseman was one of those people. You know what I'm saying? Like you just felt like, man, we lost a great one. We lost a real great one. Kobe Bryant was another one. You just felt like, man, we lost a great one. But Chadwick, Lupita put out this very touching post saying on her Instagram, she's talked about, this is a photo she took on film at the airport as we arrived in South Korea in 2018. We had just learned to do the baby heart with our fingers. Here, Chadwick was adding his suave flair. We spent a glorious 72 hours there, and the memory fills me with so much joy. Look at our brother Chadwick Boseman, who worked all the way to the end. And it's just a touching reminder of how people can influence our lives. But this brother here, even though he was a young man, he made a tremendous impact on the culture. And, I don't know if Marvel will ever find a different King T'Challa. I am of the camp, folks, that I think that instead of either taking the character out or trying to, that you continue to find someone to fill in the role. But no one can replace Chadwick Boseman. On screen, off screen, he was just a very, very humble brother. He was a graduate of Howard University in Washington, D.C., and he made a tremendous impact. Just a wonderful soul, man. So, big shout out to Lupita for bringing him into the forefront as being one of our great ancestors, and more importantly, big shout out to Chadwick Boseman and to his family. We certainly miss our brother. He is certainly felt all around the world. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful situation there. But Brother Chadwick Boseman, please continue to rest in power. We will always and forever lift up your name for the great example that you set on film for what we can be as we all strive to be superheroes and kings. There it is. All right, folks. All right, that's going to do it for us. I thank each and every one of you, my online culture crew. Y'all had some interesting conversations in the chat today. I saw that. I was checking y'all out. Interesting conversations in the chat. But guess what? I shouldn't be surprised, because that's what y'all bring. And look, I don't mind it. I hope you don't mind it. I hope the conversations always stay civilized, but more importantly, stay informed about what's going on. But very, very interesting conversations. And that's why, folks, I invite you to join us each and every day as we have the show. Join us in our Culture Crew chat each and every day on our YouTube page under Roland Martin. You can get some of the most prolific, most profound discussions with some of the dopest people on the digital space. I'm serious. The Culture Crew, I love them. These are folks that are serious about our people. They understand the dynamics of our culture. And so if you have not had an opportunity to jump into the chat, you can definitely do so on our YouTube page under Roland Martin. You trust me, you will not walk away feeling like it was a waste of time. Not at all. You will not be disappointed. But folks, do your due diligence. Support us here at Black Star Network. Go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com, and you can show your support. You can show your love for the work that we're doing as we continue to build out this platform, this digital media space, so that way we can continue to have these conversations like in no other places like you ever seen on the web. So go to our website today, blackstarnetwork.com. Your support, financial support, means everything to us. Your support is necessary and it's needed. So please support us today. Download the app for free on all of your devices and follow us on social media. Also, you can follow me, yours truly, Faraji Muhammad, at The Real Faraji on Instagram. I'm looking for new Instagram followers on Twitter, well, now quote unquote X. Follow me on X. Follow me on Threads, all social media platforms, but I would love to connect with you. And big shout out to my production team, my man Chris, my producer for the day, Maddie, Shannon, Joel, and of course, my man, King Keenan, for doing the great work of the Black Star Network production team. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check in to Roland Martin Unfiltered, as always, to bring the latest news and information about what's going on in Black America. Also, keep up to date on the streams. We're streaming a whole lot of great content, from whether Brother Roland talking to Black business professionals, whether we're talking about what's going on in Jacksonville, Florida. We're going to revisit that situation tomorrow. I'm going to get the latest with my sister Suzette Speaks. We're talking about anything that's happening in Black America. Y'all need to make sure y'all tune into Black Star Network first to get the latest news and information. All right? All right, folks, that's going to do it for me. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk tomorrow. Check it in with Suzette Speaks on Wednesday for another exciting edition of The Culture. Right here, exclusively here, only here on the dopest, blackest digital media space in the world. That's right, folks. It's Black Star Network. Talk to you soon. Have a great evening. Peace. That's right.